What's going on, guys? It's Hi, and over the past few years I've amassed a few cars in the driveway, and it was time to get rid of everything. I got down to two cars, my Ford Ranger and Ford Mustang. I traded in the Ranger for a Toyota Corolla hatchback XSE. I didn't know that I was going to get the Corolla hatchback, but it is done. But while I was at the dealership, I had the urge to buy another car. I had the urge to make a more special purchase to me, and that is the Toyota Tacoma. Now let me preface this by saying that the Toyota Tacoma is possibly my favorite vehicle that a normal working class person could buy. Don't get me wrong, the Tacoma is still a very expensive truck, but it is obtainable, and let me be the prime example of that. I never thought that I'd be able to buy one new off the lot, but the timing was right. With the purchase of the Corolla, I had built a rapport with the salesman and the finance manager to the point that I felt that I could possibly use their help to really make a little bit bigger of a purchase. And remember, I still had the Mustang to trade in to help with the overall price. Everything was in place. Now was really the time to pull the trigger and make this purchase. So, two cars in 2 days. The Toyota Corolla hatchback XSE is a more practical everyday driver, and I also got my Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport, which is just to fulfill a very long fantasy. I got my dream car. Today I wanted to break down this purchase and why I bought this particular truck, because I feel that this is a pretty specific build. This is not a video breaking down every little detail between the various Tacomas. There are plenty of other sources that already have done that. I just want to share with you some of the thoughts that went into this purchase and hopefully help anyone who's interested in buying a new 2019 Toyota Tacoma. First, let's talk about the truck itself and why I went with this particular build. For 2019, the Toyota Tacoma comes in 6 different trims: the SR, SR5, TRD Sport, TRD Offroad, Limited, and of course the TRD Pro. For my Tacoma, I really only had one hard requirement, and that is for it to have a double cab, meaning it has 4 full doors. My Ford Ranger had a standard cab, meaning there were 2 doors and no realistic room behind the driver and passenger seat. It is just pretty much just the seat inside of the cab. I ended up hating this because there just wasn't enough room for my needs. Luckily for me, there are no current Tacomas with this size cab. The smallest cab that we can get in 2019 is the Access cab, meaning there are 2 doors, but behind the front driver and passenger seats, there are smaller seats accessible by moving the front seats forward and just kind of climbing in behind them. My uncle had an Access cab Tacoma, and from that experience, I just know that's not for me. I wanted the full double cab, full doors, and full rear seats. I wanted as much extra room inside of the cab as I can get. And luckily, the double cab is available in all trims, but if you do want that Access cab, it is available in all trims except for the Limited and the TRD Pro. I'm going to be honest with you, I wanted nothing less than the TRD trims. This means no SR and no SR5. I bought this truck because it is a Tacoma, and that's kind of enough said. Those who are buying the Toyota Tacoma for the wow and coolness factor that it has will understand what I'm talking about. Over the years, the Toyota Tacoma has really transcended the whole performance, reliability, just the uses of a truck in general. It has become really so much more, and that's kind of why I bought it. I bought into the Toyota Tacoma, the taco lifestyle. I'm not going to pretend and say that I'm going to haul thousands of pounds or climb the biggest rocks in the world. This truck very likely will spend 95% of its life, if not more, on asphalt. And the very minor off-roading that I do is realistically just driving on dirt gravel roads to get to a trailhead of a hike that I'm going to. For me, this thing is a toy, and I have no shame in saying that. If your financial situation is correct and it's possible for you to buy something materialistic that will make you a little bit more happy, why not do it? And for me, this is the Toyota Tacoma. Back to the trims, buying an SR or SR5 just would not have given me that Toyota Tacoma coolness. Without the TRD sticker on the side of the truck, I personally would just not have been happy. That's not to say that you should think the same. If the SR or SR5 works for you, by all means, go for it. They are great trucks, and in my personal opinion, for an average person that just drives around on the street, the SR and SR5 are the best options. Since I wasn't personally going to be buying the SR or SR5, I narrowed my options down to the TRD Sport, TRD Offroad, Limited, and TRD Pro. Even though I said that I wanted and it's kind of a must for me to have that TRD badging, I was still pretty practical about this purchase. Because I knew that my truck was going to be spending the majority of its life on asphalt, the TRD Pro, with its dirt-orientated features and setup, and of course its much higher price tag, just didn't make sense for my purposes. I personally am not going to spend $5,000 extra for features that I really know that I do not need. The Limited is interesting and is the trim that I thought that I was originally going to buy. With this, you're getting the creature comforts and really the luxurious version of the Toyota Tacoma. As standard with the Limited, you get the premium package and the technology package. Both of these are pretty hard wants for me, but I kind of still wanted that TRD sticker. And realistically, if you really wanted these two packages, they are available as add-ons for other trims. Another thing that is preferred for me is to have a 6-foot long bed rather than a standard 5-foot short bed. Now, this is not for hauling around extra stuff or anything like that, but I often go hiking and traveling far in my vehicles. I like to do road trips, and sometimes I need to do a makeshift campsite in the back of my vehicle. Having the 5-foot short bed is just inconvenient because I would have to lower down the tailgate, and if I were to put a canopy on the top of the truck to make myself feel a little bit safer, having the tailgate down would kind of just defeat the purpose. So the 6-foot long bed just makes everything a little bit more convenient and safe for my needs. The 6-foot long bed is really the way to go for me, and this is not available with the Limited or the TRD Pro, but it is available on the TRD Sport and the TRD Offroad. I realistically narrowed my options down to either the TRD Sport or the TRD Offroad, and I think for most people, they will be in a similar situation. So let me explain why I went with the TRD Sport. First of all, I personally think that the TRD Sport's exterior looks the best among all of the trims. Although the hood scoop is not functional, I personally think that it makes the truck look so much meaner in a good way. The TRD Sport also comes with color matching fenders, whereas the TRD Offroad comes with matte black fenders to help show less damage for those people who actually want to take their truck off-road. Cosmetically, the TRD Sport just looks the best to me, but that wasn't the ultimate determiner. I initially told myself that I wasn't going to buy the TRD Offroad because, again, it has specific off-road features that I just didn't need. And of course, those features come with an MSRP price increase of $1,255. I wasn't going to pay extra for features that I don't need, and realistically, if I were to pay extra for off-road features, I would have just paid for the TRD Pro for pretty much the best that we can get in a Tacoma. Again, this is what I initially thought, but this all changed when I found out that realistic prices for the TRD Sport and the TRD Offroad are largely the same. This really started to sway me towards the TRD Offroad because no doubt the TRD Offroad offers more costly parts and more features if both trims cost the same. With the TRD Offroad, you are getting the Bilstein suspension, crawl control, electronically locking rear differential, front skid plate, and 16-inch wheels along with other minor things. Although I don't need and would likely not use these features, I'll take them if they were being offered at the same price as the TRD Sport. The TRD Offroad is just a financially better investment. There's another thing that I wanted to point out. Although the Bilstein suspension is a nice upgrade, it may not be for everyone. Because it's an off-road orientated suspension, it feels like an off-road suspension. This means that when you're driving around, everything feels kind of loose and soft, kind of like you're driving in a boat. And you definitely get more body roll with the TRD Offroad. On the other hand, the TRD Sport has a road-orientated suspension. This just means that it minimizes everything that I just previously mentioned. I personally can deal with the way that the TRD Offroad drives if I'm getting it for the same price as the TRD Sport. The difference is not that big of a deal to me. For those who care, the extra features of the TRD Offroad does make it less fuel efficient. It is an extremely minimal difference, but it is less fuel efficient. So, why didn't I buy the TRD Offroad? At the end of the day, the TRD Sport and the TRD Offroad were not the same price for me. At the dealership that I went to, the price for two similarly spec TRD Sport and TRD Offroad Tacomas were largely the same, but again, I wanted a pretty specific configuration. I wanted the double cab, 6-foot bed, premium package, and technology package. These things are easier to find with the TRD Sport because these are things that city drivers tend to want more, and city drivers tend to lean more towards the TRD Sport than the TRD Offroad. The dealership that I was at had exactly what I wanted in the TRD Sport, not the off-road. The closest dealership with the off-road that I wanted was a state away. This means that I had to pay for the destination or delivery fee, but most importantly, I had to pay sticker price. Although the TRD Sport and the TRD Offroad can theoretically be purchased for the same price, I just personally couldn't purchase them for the same price. After negotiations, I was looking at close to a $5,000 difference in favor of the TRD Sport. This made my decision so much easier because remember, for $5,000 more, I can just buy a TRD Pro. Why would I waste that money on a TRD Offroad? Although it took a lot of time to figure out exactly what I wanted in my Tacoma, I feel that my decision is ultimately pretty straightforward. It all just came down to what I wanted, practicality, and of course the price. Now remember, this is not a video trying to sway you towards or away from any particular trim or option. These are simply the thoughts that helped me decide on my Toyota Tacoma. What I wanted, maybe not what you want. But let me say this. If you just want a Toyota Tacoma and don't care about the minor little features here and there, you just want a good, reliable truck at a decent price, then definitely check out the SR and SR5s. I personally think that these are the best trims for most people, especially if you want the 4-cylinder engine. These are pretty much going to be your only choice. If you want the baddest of the Tacomas, the one that would be most capable off-road and the one that will get you the most clout, then go with the TRD Pro. This is the Tacoma to get in terms of cool points. However, it does come with the most off-road focused features and it comes with the highest price tag. If you don't want to spend money on features that you don't need, then look for something else. If you want the most luxurious and comfortable Tacoma from the factory, then go with the Limited. However, the Limited doesn't come in certain configurations, and many of the things that are most appealing about the Limited are available as add-ons for other trims. Now, if you are torn between the TRD Sport and the TRD Offroad, my first instinct is to tell you to go with the TRD Offroad. If you can get either of these at the same price, then the Offroad provides a better value with its upgraded parts and more features. However, these two trucks do provide different driving experiences. The Sport is going to be more comfortable on road. The suspension is a little bit tighter and feels a little bit more planted, while the off-road can oftentimes feel a little bit loose and like you're driving in a boat. However, while off-roading, the TRD Offroad will likely give you a better ride. The softer suspension will really help to eat up those uneven terrain and just gives you a more comfortable ride. But this just all depends on how extreme your off-roading is. If you're just driving over simple gravel dirt roads, there's going to be little difference. But when you start going to specific sites to go off-roading, when you plan on driving over rocks, through mud, ruts, and all of that, the TRD Offroad will likely be the better option. The crawl feature and electronically locking rear differential can be the difference between being stuck and making it through. Just be real with yourself and your needs. Test drive both of these trims in the conditions that you'll most want to drive them in if possible. Don't overpay for something you don't need just to say that you have it, unless that was your original reason to buy in the first place. And that is it. Those are the things that helped me to decide which 2019 Toyota Tacoma to buy. I'll be the first to admit that I'm completely a Toyota Tacoma fanboy. I have no shame in saying that I just love these trucks. I can't tell you how long I've wanted a Toyota Tacoma, and I am so happy to finally have it in my driveway. If you're watching this video and feel similarly and you need a little bit more affirmation to help you go out and buy a Tacoma of your own, then I'll give it to you. I am so happy with my purchase, and these are still the baddest trucks in my opinion. That being said, these are not the perfect trucks, and there are a lot of things that could be and should be changed to really keep up with the current competition. If you are trying to buy a truck from a practical standpoint and you actually want to use your truck as a truck, then I kind of want to say that you should really search the market and make sure that the Tacoma is really for you. Again, I bought this truck because I am completely a Toyota Tacoma fanboy, and this is a long-time fantasy that I've finally been able to realize. And with that, we are going to end this video here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it around, comment down below, and any thoughts or questions that you may have. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.